I'm your host, Skilo Slim, and today we got a very special guest in the building that's here to talk to us. I'm gonna let him explain it to you. Hello, sir. How you doing?
All right. Yeah. Hey. How's it going?
Good to meet you. How you
doing?
doing?
Good to see you.
Doing good.
So I'm Eric Williams. I'm a candidate for the OPPD Board of Directors. The election is on Tuesday, November 6th. So let's start with that. That's the most important thing, is that people get out and vote on Tuesday, November 6th, or you can actually vote early right now. So yeah, I'm glad to be here and encouraging people to work together to improve lives in our community.
Right. Definitely. So I never knew that you vote for the people for OPPD board. Like, what made you want to go that route?
So Nebraska is a little bit unique in that we have all public power in the whole state, meaning that everywhere there is one utility and it's publicly owned and controlled. And so in Omaha, we elect the directors of our utility. There are 8 districts, and so we elect 8 directors to govern all of the actions of OPPD and deliver on the mission of affordable, reliable, and environmentally sensitive energy. Right. And so everybody does get a chance to vote on that. This time it's a little bit different. In 2013, the legislature said that OPPD needed to divide down the Omaha Metro into sub-districts. So this time in Northeast Omaha is the first election for Subdivision 6. Right. So kind of everything north of Cummings Street, everything from about 60th Street east all the way to the river, and north all the way to the county line. So everything in Northeast Omaha, that's east part of Dundee, east part of Benson, Raven Oaks, Ponca Hills, Florence, historic North Omaha, North Downtown. We all get to vote, and we get to vote for a representative specifically for Subdivision 6. And I was glad to get in there as soon as the deadline came up to register and say, yes, I'd like to be a leader at OPPD.
Right. Where did that passion come from? Was it just the availability of the position, or is it something that you've always wanted to do?
Yeah, I've been working in energy policy for about the last 10 years. I started the Omaha Biofuels Co-op. We collect waste vegetable oil and make it into biodiesel to reduce the use of petroleum, fossil fuels. So we've been doing that for about 12 years now. A group of us get together on Friday night and take the 55-gallon barrels that we pick up from restaurants. We strain that and filter it and process it down into biofuel. So that's been really great. That was kind of my first step into clean energy. Right. From there, I was on the board of several different organizations. Earth Day Omaha. I'm currently on the board of Nebraskans for Solar, focusing on education and outreach for clean energy, specifically solar energy here in our community. And so through that path, I've been working on different ways in my own life and in my community service to improve our energy policy and make sure that we've got an energy system that works for everybody. I think there's areas where we can improve. Specifically with OPPD, I want to focus on fair rates for everybody, because the fixed fee on the bill has been going up the last couple years.
Right, yeah, I noticed.
Yeah. I mean, everybody pays an OPPD bill, and the fixed fee each month used to be about $10, and then the board approved an increase, and it went to $15, then $20, $25, and next year will go up to $30 per month. And so that's particularly hard on low and moderate income households, people who are fixed income, people who are just conservative in their energy use. They don't use very much energy. It means if you don't use very much energy, you pay the highest rates. People who use the most energy are paying the lowest rates.
Right.
And so that was approved at the end of 2015. And about 100 community members wrote letters to the board at the time saying, we don't support this. We know this is going to be tough for people, low, moderate, fixed income folks. It's going to discourage clean energy and clean energy jobs. And so we don't recommend you approve this. And the board still did approve it. And that was disappointing to me. That was an example of energy policy that I didn't agree with. And so since I've been working in other areas, when the election came up in 2018, I thought, hey, I can work to continue improving policy, make sure we have fair rates for all the ratepayers.
Right.
The second thing I'm really focused on is public engagement. Like I said, this is the first time that Subdivision 6 gets to vote for a board member specifically. And so I want to make sure that people don't just encounter OPPD when they pay their bill each month. But if there's a street light that's out, or if you have an issue with your bill, or if you are a tenant and you're having some kind of trouble and you don't know who to talk to, you should call your board member. And if you can't find the right person at OPPD to help you get that question answered, your board member should be able to help you get that done. And so I think there's a lot of people who have been left out of the process for a long time. People in Northeast Omaha who feel like they don't know their representatives. They've never met them. They maybe didn't vote in the election, or maybe they didn't vote for them. And so I want to make sure that I'm connected to those people and that we are working together to make OPPD the best public utility it can be. And then the third thing I really want to focus on is taking advantage of clean energy and new energy market opportunities. I was the program coordinator for the Re-Energize program, and we focused on energy evaluations and energy upgrades in homes and businesses. And I did that for about 3.5 years with the City of Omaha. It was a Department of Energy grant program. And so we would do an energy evaluation, find out how much energy people are using, and then recommend ways that they can reduce their energy use and save money on their bills. So there were really cost-effective things like air sealing and insulating, upgrading your lighting to LEDs,
Right.
Maybe check your furnace and your air conditioner, see if they need servicing, or if they do need to be replaced, recommend how they can be upgraded to be more energy efficient. And then we had some funds to help incentivize people to make those investments and upgrade their homes. And so that was a great opportunity to both save energy in homes and make people more safe and healthy and comfortable, as well as creating good local jobs in our community.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
Metropolitan Community College is doing training. Some of the local unions are doing training on energy efficiency work, so that air sealing and insulating. And those are jobs that you have to do in person. They can't be outsourced. They have to be
Right.
done on site
On the
at the
ground.
home or business, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And so I think that's a real big opportunity to continue improving our community by making energy efficiency improvements in homes and businesses. Solar energy is another great opportunity. We currently don't have very much solar
my
in our
favorite.
community. Yeah, man, right on. Give me some of
We
that.
gotta love it, man.
Heck
We gotta
yes.
love it.
Yeah, solar power, right?
Yeah, definitely. man.
So I have solar in my own home. I was very fortunate to be able to install that. I worked with some volunteers from Nebraskans for solar to climb up on the roof and install the mounting system, the brackets, and the rack to hold the solar panels. And then we put the panels on top and wired them together. And then we did pay an electrician to pull the permit that's required and then to wire it down into the inverter and the circuit breaker.
Right.
And so all of those things are, again, local jobs that are clean and high-paying jobs because there's a level of professionalism that you need to be able to do that and some training. And so those are good jobs that need to be done here in our community. And they're kind of carpentry or laborer type of work on the roof, and then electrical work to connect it up. And so I think, again, that's a real opportunity to have good jobs and generate clean energy and local power here in our community. And currently OPPD doesn't have any programs to support that type of work. And which I think is unfortunate. LES, that's Lincoln Electric System, is the public utility in Lincoln. And they do have incentives for solar power right now. And so they're seeing more people install solar and generate their own energy, help to reduce the stress on the grid by generating energy at their home or business.
Right.
And they give incentives for people to put those solar panels up on the roof. And OPPD doesn't currently have any programs like that. And I think we should. I think that's something we should encourage.
Yeah, we definitely. I think so too. Because I think a lot of people are like curious or interested, and they just don't really have the resources
Yeah.
or the knowledge.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's like that's something that you.
Yeah, so I've been doing tours at my home each year, and last weekend was the National Solar Tour. So there were 5 different locations across Omaha: City Sprouts Community Garden on
Yeah.
40th and Seward, my home, a business in Dundee, and a home in Bellevue, and one other home as well. So 5 total locations. And people came out and they would stop by and look at the solar panels in person and ask questions of the homeowner or the business owner about the installation. How much did it cost? Something everybody always wants to know.
Yeah, it's like the first thing.
Yep. What about hail? That's the other question we always get. What happens when it hails? And solar panels are rated for a pretty good sized hailstone moving pretty fast. So they're pretty durable. They are made of glass, but it's not like a window on your house. It's more like a windshield in your car. So they're
Right.
pretty durable. And then there's also insurance that goes with that. And so if you install that on the roof of your house, your insurance policy will generally cover that. So you don't really have to change your policy or pay any more for insurance. And if there is a big windstorm that manages to damage them somehow, if a branch falls on them somehow, or
Yeah.
if there's hail, your insurance would cover that. So those are questions that people have, and a lot of people are just kind of not familiar with how solar can be installed and what it looks like. And so I encourage people to come out to my house, and I think we had about 30 people stop by this year.
Good.
Yeah, and see the solar panels, and then look at the electrical wiring on the back of the house, and the net meter that counts the energy coming into the house and any energy you send back to the grid. And so seeing things in person is a really good way to understand clean energy and know that it can be done. My home was built in 1920. And you can put solar on a traditional home like that. You can put solar on any kind of home. You just need to, if you're familiar with it and you know some contractors who do that kind of work, then you can generate your own power too.
Right. Was it expensive to do?
It's about $3 per watt of power installed. That's kind of a conservative or a little higher estimate. Costs have been coming down over time, so it might be a little cheaper than that now. But $3 per watt, and my system was 3,000 watts. So about $9,000 would be the expected cost to install that again on another home. But you get a 30% tax credit on all of the labor and materials. So maybe more like $6,000.
Right.
And that's enough solar to generate 90% of the energy in my home. And so it really makes a big difference in our bill every month. I mean, we see, $30, $40, $50 a month in energy production because of the solar on the roof there.
Also, like you give power back.
Yeah.
And then you get a credit for that?
That's right, yeah. Okay. So it's called net metering, and that's a policy that was approved by the legislature in 2009 and was implemented by OPPD, I want to say in 2011 was the first time they started implementing that. So I installed mine in 2014 under that net metering policy. That means if you generate energy, you take the total amount of energy that you consumed from the grid, and you subtract off any energy that you sent back to the grid, and you just pay the difference.
Right.
And so then that reduces the amount of total energy that you purchase from the grid, and that reduces the cost on your bill each month.
Wow, that's good to know.
Yeah, it's really helpful, and it can be a great answer for a lot of people. With Nebraskans for Solar, I'm currently working with Habitat for Humanity to try and develop a program where they install solar when they build new homes.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, because a home with solar will cost less than a home without solar that has higher electric bills.
Right.
And so even for low and moderate income folks, it's really important to make sure they have access to this kind of local energy program so that they can, again, be involved in producing their own energy and keep their costs down by having clean energy on their home.
Yeah. That's the main thing that made me like, okay, I'm going to vote for you, because I feel like we should not be using coal, or we should be transitioning.
Yeah.
So that like 20, 30 years from now, we're not using coal. That's.
Yeah. So we have for a long time. Coal is 1850s technology, and we still have it around today. So we have used it for a very long time, and we've gotten better at it. It is cleaner and more efficient than it used to be. But still, when you compare the fundamentals of fossil fuels and clean energy like solar and wind, we do have better options that are getting cheaper all the time.
Right.
And it's not getting that much cheaper to have coal or natural gas or even petroleum for cars. Right. So the new clean energy technology continues to get better, more efficient, and cheaper in cost. And so, I think that's something we should look forward to in the future, is transitioning into a clean energy market and clean energy opportunities, and make sure that that's a benefit to our public power here in Omaha.
Definitely, I definitely agree, and I understand, from coming from a labor standpoint of people losing jobs,
right?
And it's like some people are in a point where they can't, being retrained is not necessarily,
right.
I know guys that's been union workers for 30 years, and it's like you're not going to take a pipe fitter and train him to work in this. He might resist whatever reasons, but that next generation of people. But that's what we need to think.
Well, and the good thing is that there's a lot of different types of work that needs to be done in clean energy.
Right.
So again, carpentry or labor type of work is putting solar panels on roofs. Right. You're mounting little brackets down into the roof deck and screwing it in and putting a piece of flashing on there to make sure it doesn't leak in the roof, mounting the panels onto that rack. Electrical work, to wire those panels together and wire it down to the inverter and then over to the circuit breaker panel. Plumbing work, there are solar hot water systems where you actually pipe the water up on the roof and it runs through a solar thermal panel. It heats the water up, and then that either provides hot water for your home, or it can even provide radiant heat for your home. And then there's other more complicated, larger kind of commercial or industrial systems that, again, could a pipe fitter do that type of work? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you can learn to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a whole variety of different types of new energy market opportunities. And so when we talk about installing clean energy, I like to see that as a potential advantage to our community. I know change can be difficult, but the tremendous opportunity is something that we can't look away from. We need to embrace new opportunities and make those a benefit to everybody.
Right. I definitely agree. So are these types of decisions what will be covered with the position that you're running for?
Yeah, so
the issues that come up.
So the board of directors at OPPD are kind of the ultimate responsible group who make all of the kind of guiding decisions about where OPPD is going in the future. Right. And there's a group of strategic directives, SD, strategic directives that guide the direction of OPPD. And right now we're kind of in the middle of a discussion about an important one. SD7 is about environmental stewardship. Right. And we have achieved all of the goals of the current strategic directive. We are producing about 35% of our energy from clean energy sources now, mostly wind. And so the strategic directive said 30%. So
that's good.
It's time, yeah, it is. And so it's time to now update that directive and say, what should we do? What should be our aspirational goal for the future? How can we keep improving? Where do we need to go long term? What's the best outcome for our community? And so Strategic Directive 7 is being reviewed right now about how much clean energy should we have in the future. How do we measure carbon dioxide emissions? Because there's a couple things that are really important about energy production and carbon dioxide, and that is climate change is real. Right. It is happening right now. It is caused by humans, and the consequences will be severe, and we should take immediate and direct action.
Definitely.
And so OPPD has, as the electric producer and provider in our community, OPPD has big responsibility in taking action on climate change and recognizing that carbon is the cause of climate change. We are seeing the impacts, and we need to start taking more appropriate steps to reduce those causes. And so Strategic Directive 7 would guide all of that for OPPD to help point in that direction in the future. Right. There's other strategic directives that focus on things like rates, how affordable we keep the energy, and we're doing very good on that. The cost of energy per kilowatt hour is low, but that increasing fixed fee is a little bit of a challenge to a lot of people. So we need to look at the rate structure in a comprehensive way and say people are paying a fixed fee and a kilowatt hour cost. Both of those together should be covered by our affordable strategic directive. Right. There's other directives on employee policies and transparency and all that kind of stuff, but the ones that most people would encounter most often, and the ones that people ask me about when I knock on their door or I see them at a meeting like the Empowerment Network meeting that I just came from, people want to talk about fair and affordable bills from their electric utility. Right. And so I think that's Strategic Directive 2. And people want to talk about the future of energy and clean energy, and that's Strategic Directive 7. And the board is responsible to set those guiding principles and help push our utility forward to where we need to go in the future. Yeah,
that's a big thing too. Because I mean, to me, that's the two things. Like you said, like we do have to worry about like climate change. And I always tell people, like, even if you don't think it's real or not, it's like, why do we want to use the same technology from 150 years ago? Like, we don't. You know, like if I tried to bring you if I brought you a 150-year-old equivalent to a car, right, which would be a horse, right, like you would look at me like I was crazy. Mm-hmm. But yet we still use coal, and people want to use nuclear and stuff like that. I just want to embrace the future. Like we have all this great technology. Right, and there are, and the technology continues to improve, and there's a lot of opportunities to have. We need to evaluate the existing power sources and figure out, are they still the cheapest source? Right. Do they still provide the overall best outcome for our community? And there are plants now that are still providing good outcomes for our community. But as we look to the future, we need to be prepared to say, how long is this plant going to keep being the best option? Right. Like Fort Calhoun, that was a very difficult situation. I mean, a lot of people worked there. It had been providing power for OPPD for a very long time. But it was more expensive to continue operating than the energy it was generating. Right. And so it's a difficult decision, and the board needs to be responsible to say,
we're going to continue to look at all of the different aspects of OPPD, and if we need to make changes in the future, then we can go ahead and make that decision and be responsible for that. And so there will be other decisions like that in the future as well.
Right.
Things do continue to change, and we need to figure out how to be ready for that. And the board needs to have policies in place so that OPPD can embrace the future and continue to be a great public benefit to our community.
I definitely agree, and that's good because that Fort Calhoun thing was scary to me.
Yeah.
Like during the flood, I guess I'm thinking like worst case scenario.
Right.
But it just made me like, we shouldn't use any of this. Like, I don't want to pay to.
Yeah. Well, so Fort Calhoun was the oldest and the smallest nuclear facility in the country. And so that's why it was continuing to be more expensive to operate and maintain. Yeah. And so, it was just in a challenging spot where, like you said, technology continues to improve. So a nuclear facility from the 50s doesn't have the same modern protections that some of the other facilities do.
Right.
So, and when you look at new generation, we should compare: is nuclear the best option? How much does it cost? What are the benefits that it brings to the community? Or is wind a better option? Because we have a lot of wind energy potential in Nebraska. And again, that provides good jobs in the design and creation of the turbines and the towers to put the turbines up, as well as installing them and then operating and maintaining them.
Right.
And when you install wind energy in Nebraska, you build property tax base in Nebraska. When you buy coal from Wyoming, you send money out of our state into Wyoming to
Right.
corporations who are mining coal in Wyoming. And so relocalizing our energy production helps to reinvest in the community. And so wind energy has benefits in our community and in the state of Nebraska from that reinvestment in the energy resources that we have here.
Right.
And so when we evaluate what types of energy should we have in the future, we should consider all of those things. What are the benefits? What are the negative consequences? And how do we balance those overall? And that's the responsibility of the board, is to be thoughtful and informed and help make those decisions for our community.
Definitely. I definitely agree with that. So is there anything that like specific that you would want people that's going to make their decision to know?
Like I said, I've been working on energy policy for about the last 10 years. And I feel that my experience with energy efficiency, with the Re-Energize program, with clean energy from my own home and Nebraskans for Solar, that my experience in those areas and my leadership on energy in my own life and in my community service, as well as my vision for the future of OPPD, that those things make me the best candidate. And I encourage people to check out my website, williamsforoppd.com. You can find us on Facebook as well, again, Williams for OPPD. And we've even got Instagram. I had an intern over the summer who insisted that that's where all the kids are. And so you gotta get in touch with people, right?
Right.
Keep in touch with young people and encourage them to get out the vote on November 6th also. So check out information about me, and there's contact information there. Again, I really support public engagement so that people know their elected representatives. They know their experiences, and they know their background, and they know how to get in touch with them if you have an issue. So I encourage you to check that out online. And then if you have any questions about energy policy, give me a call or an email, and I'll be glad to talk with you. And I hope I can earn your vote on November 6th.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what I appreciate the most about you. I have to say this, I noticed before we leave. Like, I notice a lot of candidates come into like community things, and it's like they come, they get seen, and then they leave.
Yeah.
And I've seen, and then, that's fine, but I've seen you like hanging out, talking to people, and it's like I just appreciated that. Like, you kind of want people to have the knowledge of what's
absolutely.
going on. So that's a very big
And so when you drive around Northeast Omaha, every time you see a yard sign, that's a person that I've talked to or someone from my campaign has talked to who believes in the message of fair rates, public engagement, and new energy market opportunities. Right. And they support that, and they're engaged, and they're going to vote. And I've got their support, and they want to tell their friends and neighbors as well. So that's the kind of engagement that I really want to focus on, and the type of thing that we need more of in our community.
Definitely. Well, you got my support as
well. All right,
well.
well, thanks very much. Appreciate it.
And I just want to say thank you for coming. I know it's like a Saturday.
Yeah.
So,
No, I'm glad to be here. I mean, the good thing is the sun is up, so the solar panels are producing energy, and it's going to be warm, so I can go out and knock doors and get in touch with voters directly.
Definitely.
It's going to be good.
Yeah, I love it, man. So, once again, thanks for watching the show. And reach out to us if you want to keep this conversation going. You can reach us at the voicesofreasonshow.com. And, please go and follow up on this information. Don't just do it because I said I'm going to do it. Go find out for yourself and make sure you go and vote for somebody November 6th. With that, I'm going to say peace. Until next time.